Chapter 3, Examination of Formal Requirements. Welcome to your Euro Patent Brief Journey, with Baris. We're about to dive into the intricacies of examining the formal requirements of your European patent application. We will follow the content of the EPO Examination Guidelines. This can be a complex topic, but don't worry, I'm here to guide you through every detail. Let's tackle this together, step by step. 1. General. Let's begin with the general overview of what we'll cover in the examination of formal requirements. Remember, this is a detailed process, but each part is crucial for the success of your application. Pause, take a breath, you're doing great. 1.1. Formal requirements. The formal requirements that an application must meet are examined by the receiving section. These requirements relate to several key elements, which we'll explore one by one. First, let's list them, and then we'll dive deeper into each. Roman 1, Representation. Your application must include proper representation. If you don't reside in a contracting state, you'll need an authorized representative. Roman 2, Signature. Your application must be signed by you or your authorized representative. Every signature must be in place, this is non-negotiable. Roman 3, Physical requirements of the application. Your application must meet specific physical requirements. This includes the format and quality of the documents you submit. Roman 4, Abstract. You must include an abstract summarizing your invention. This is crucial because it helps others understand the essence of your patent. Roman 5, Request for grant. You must submit a formal request for the grant of the patent. We'll explore the details of this form and what it must contain. Roman 6, Claim to priority. If you are claiming priority from an earlier application, you must provide the necessary details and documents. Roman 7, Designation of inventor. You must designate the inventor or inventors. This is a key part of your application and must be handled with care. Roman 8, Translations, where required. If your application is not in one of the official EPO languages, you'll need to provide translations. These must meet specific requirements. Roman 9, the presence of at least one claim. Your application must include at least one claim. This is the heart of your patent, and it's crucial to getting the protection you seek. Roman 10, Filing and search fees. Finally, you must ensure that all filing and search fees are paid. Missing this step can halt your application process. Pause here, take a moment to let these requirements sink in. They might seem overwhelming, but remember, we're breaking them down, step by step. You're doing great, keep going. 1.2. Further checks. Now, let's talk about the additional checks that the receiving section must perform. These checks ensure that your application meets all the necessary standards before it moves forward. Roman 1, Preliminary check of the description and claims. The receiving section must ensure that the title of your invention, which will appear in the published application, generally meets the requirements. Roman 2, Payment of claims fees. The section will also check whether any claims fees due have been paid. This is crucial because unpaid fees can delay your application. Roman 3, Certificate of exhibition. If your invention was displayed under Article 55, 1b, you must file a certificate of exhibition. This is necessary to protect the validity of your patent. Roman 4, Information on biological material. For applications involving biological material, you must provide complete information as required under Rule 31. This ensures that all ethical and legal standards are met. Roman 5, Sequence listings. If your application involves nucleotide and/or amino acid sequences, you must include a prescribed sequence listing. This is a critical part of the application process. These further checks are just as important as the initial requirements. They ensure that every detail of your application is in order. Take a moment to reflect on these additional checks. 2. Representation. Now, let's move on to the specifics of representation in your patent application. This is a crucial part of the process, especially if you are not based in a contracting state. 2.1. Requirements. The formalities officer must ensure that all requirements regarding representation are met. Let's break down these requirements. Roman 1. Authorized professional representative. If you have neither a residence nor principal place of business in a contracting state, you must be represented by an authorized professional representative or an authorized legal practitioner. Roman 2. Employee representation. If you are represented by an employee, and your residence or principal place of business is in a contracting state, the employee must be authorized. Roman 3. Authorization documents. If an authorization is required, it must be duly signed and filed in due time. This is non-negotiable. Pause here, think about these requirements. Are you properly represented? Is your authorization in order? Remember, these details are critical to the success of your application. 2.2. Non-compliance. Let's talk about what happens if you don't comply with the representation requirements. Non-compliance can have serious consequences. The formalities officer will take specific actions to address any deficiencies. These actions are detailed in the EPO guidelines, but remember, the key is to ensure compliance from the start. Take a moment to reflect on this. Are you confident that your representation is compliant? If not, take steps to correct it now. 3. Physical requirements. Now, let's explore the physical requirements of your patent application. These are the standards that your documents must meet to be accepted and processed by the EPO. 3.1. General remarks. Every application that is subject to formal examination is examined for compliance with the requirements as to form. This means that your documents must be clear, legible, and formatted correctly. Non-compliance with these requirements is a serious matter. It could lead to the refusal of your application. 3.2. Documents making up the application. The receiving section must ensure that the documents making up the application meet all necessary requirements. This includes the request, description, claims, drawings, and abstract. These documents must be suitable for satisfactory reproduction and reasonably uniform publication. The goal is to ensure that all details originally disclosed are discernible. This is crucial for maintaining the integrity of your application. If your documents don't meet these physical requirements, you'll be invited to remedy the deficiencies. But remember, the time frame to do this is limited, usually to a non-extendable 2-month period. If you don't correct the deficiencies in time, your application could be refused. Pause here, take a deep breath. Are your documents in the right format? Are they clear and legible? This might seem like a small detail, but it's essential for the success of your application. 3.2.1. Physical requirements for applications filed by reference. If your application is filed by reference to a previously filed application, specific physical requirements still apply. If no translation is required, the certified copy of the previously filed application must meet these physical requirements. However, if a translation is required, only the translation must satisfy the physical requirements. Again, the authenticity of the original content must not be compromised. 3.2.2. Physical requirements for late filed documents. If you file any documents after the initial filing date, such as claims, missing parts, or corrections, these documents must also meet the physical requirements. The EPO will check these documents separately. And, if there are any deficiencies, they will be communicated only when all documents are on file. If the late filing results in a change of the filing date, you can withdraw the late filed parts within 1 month. This is a critical step to ensure that your application remains in good standing. Pause here, think about the physical state of your documents. Are they in order? Do they meet the required standards? This is your opportunity to ensure everything is correct. 3.3. Other documents. All other documents must also be typewritten or printed, with a left margin of about 2.5 centimeters on each page. This might seem like a small detail, but it's important for the uniformity and clarity of your application. 4. Request for grant. Let's talk about the request for grant. This is the formal document, where you indicate that a patent is sought. 4.1. General remarks. The request for grant must be made on the appropriate EPO form. EPO Form 1001. Even though the request itself can be in no particular form, the EPO form ensures that all necessary information is included. Make sure you're using the latest version of the form. This applies whether you're filing electronically or on paper. Pause here. Have you completed the request for grant form correctly? Is it the latest version? Double-check these details, they're critical to your application's success. 4.2. Examination of the request for grant form. The receiving section will examine your request form to ensure it contains all the necessary information. This includes the integral petition for grant and other details required under Rule 41(2). 4.2.1. Information on the applicant. Your request must include the name, address, and nationality of the applicant. If there are multiple applicants, this requirement applies to each one. At this stage, the formalities officer will also consider your entitlement to apply for the patent. Pause here. Are all your applicant details correct and complete? This is your opportunity to ensure everything is in order. 4.2.2. Signature. The request must be signed by the applicant or their appointed representative. If there's more than one applicant, each must sign the request. This is non-negotiable. 4.2.3. Further requirements under Rule 41(2). Finally, the request must meet other specific requirements laid down by Rule 41(2). These include the title of the invention, details on divisional applications, and claims to priority. We'll explore these in subsequent sections, but remember, each detail is important. Recap and reflection. Today we've covered the formal requirements of your patent application. We've explored the key elements, including representation, signatures, and physical requirements. We've also discussed the request for grant and the importance of ensuring all details are correct. Take a moment to reflect on these procedures. In our next session, we'll cover the physical requirements in more detail and dive deeper into the examination process. We'll also look into specific rules for filing and maintaining your application. For now, take a deep breath and review today's material. You're making excellent progress. Keep up the great work. Remember, the key to mastering these details is consistent practice and review. Thank you for your continued dedication. See you in the next session.